Courage is not fearlessness. Introduction. Courage is not the death of fear, it is war against yourself. Most people misunderstand courage. They think courage means fear disappears. They imagine a brave person as someone who feels nothing, no shaking, no doubt, no resistance. This belief is false, and it damages growth. Fear does not disappear when courage arrives. Fear stays. Courage begins after fear appears. Courage is not comfort. Courage is not confidence. Courage is not motivation. Courage is action taken while fear is alive. The real enemy is not fear. The real enemy is the part of you that wants to stay safe, silent, and unchanged. Courage is not fighting the world. Courage is fighting yourself. Every time you avoid action, it is not because you lack ability. It is because your mind chooses safety over growth. The mind always prefers comfort. It wants easy paths, excuses, delay, and explanations. Courage demands the opposite. Courage demands that you go against your natural tendency. This is why courage feels violent inside. It feels like pressure. It feels like force. It feels uncomfortable because you are pushing against your own limits. Courage is self-discipline in its rawest form. When you take courageous action, you are not feeling ready. You are not feeling calm. You are not feeling prepared. You are acting despite chaos inside your head. That is the true definition of courage. Fear is information. It tells you where growth is required. If something scares you, it means it matters. If something feels heavy, it means it has power to change you. Avoiding fear keeps you small. Facing fear reshapes your identity. Courage is physical. It is waking up when the body wants sleep. It is working when the body wants rest. It is standing straight when the body wants to shrink. Courage is emotional. It is speaking when silence feels safer. It is accepting responsibility when blame feels easier. It is staying present when escape feels comfortable. Being courageous does not mean being gentle with yourself. It means being honest. Growth does not come from softness. Growth comes from pressure. Just like muscles grow by resistance, character grows by internal resistance. This is why courage requires hardness. Being hard on yourself does not mean hating yourself. It means refusing to lie to yourself. It means refusing comfort when comfort delays your future. It means choosing effort over excuses. Most people wait for courage to arrive before acting. That day never comes. Courage is not a feeling you wait for. Courage is a behavior you practice. You act first. Courage follows. Every act of courage rewires your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who avoids. You begin seeing yourself as someone who moves forward, even when it hurts. That identity is built action by action, not thought by thought. Fear never leaves completely, but its control weakens. What once stopped you becomes noise. What once controlled you becomes background sound. This book is not about removing fear. It is about dominating it through action. You will not be asked to feel better. You will be asked to act better. You will not be asked to be kind to your weakness. You will be asked to confront it. Courage is not for comfort. It is for transformation. And transformation always demands a cost. Chapter 1. Fear is natural, avoidance is a choice. Fear is not your enemy. This must be understood clearly before anything else. Fear is a natural human response. It is built into the nervous system. It exists to protect the body, not to guide the future. When fear appears, it does not mean something is wrong. It means something important is happening. The problem begins when fear is treated as a command instead of a signal. Most people do not fail because they feel fear. They fail because they obey it. Fear shows up before growth. It shows up before change. It shows up before responsibility. Every meaningful action triggers fear because it threatens the current identity. The mind wants consistency, not progress. Fear is the alarm that says, something is changing. Avoidance, however, is not automatic. Avoidance is a decision. When fear appears, there are only two paths. One is action. The other is avoidance. Fear itself does not push you into either direction. Your habits decide. Avoidance feels logical in the moment. It feels intelligent. The mind creates explanations. This is not the right time. I need more information. I will do it later. I am not ready yet. These are not thoughts. These are escape strategies. The mind is skilled at protecting comfort. It will always find a reason to delay pain. But delayed pain does not disappear. It only grows. Fear ignored becomes anxiety. Fear avoided becomes regret. Fear faced becomes strength. Most people confuse fear with danger. Real danger threatens survival. Fear often threatens ego. Speaking up, starting something new, taking responsibility, or changing habits rarely threaten survival. They threaten image, comfort, and familiarity. The body reacts the same way to ego threat as it does to physical threat. Heart rate increases. Muscles tighten. Breathing changes. The body does not know the difference. But the response required is different. Running from real danger saves life. Running from fear destroys potential. This is why courage is required. Courage is the ability to act while fear is present. Not after it disappears. Not when you feel calm. While the body is uncomfortable. Avoidance trains weakness. Each time you avoid action, you teach the mind that fear is in control. The next time fear appears, it arrives stronger. It learns that it works. Fear grows through obedience. Action trains strength. Each time you act despite fear, you teach the mind that fear is not the decision maker. Over time, fear loses authority. It still appears, but it no longer commands. This is not theory. This is conditioning. The mind learns through behavior, not intention. Thinking about courage does nothing. Planning courage does nothing. Promising courage does nothing. Only action changes the internal hierarchy. Fear will always present arguments. It will always feel convincing. The goal is not to defeat fear in debate. The goal is to move while it talks. You do not need to feel strong to act strong. You do not need to feel confident to act confident. You do not need to feel ready to begin. Readiness is created through movement. Most people wait for fear to reduce before acting. This waiting creates stagnation. Fear reduces after action, not before. This order cannot be reversed. Avoidance creates a false sense of safety. Life becomes smaller. Choices reduce. Opportunities shrink. Over time, This creates internal pressure. The person feels trapped, restless, and dissatisfied without knowing why. This dissatisfaction is not caused by lack of opportunity. It is caused by repeated avoidance. The human mind is designed to expand through challenge. Without challenge, it turns inward and becomes unstable. Fear faced strengthens identity. Fear avoided weakens identity. You become what you repeatedly do. If you repeatedly retreat, you become someone who retreats. If you repeatedly step forward, you become someone who steps forward. Courage is not one big moment. It is many small decisions to move instead of pause. The goal is not to remove fear from life. The goal is to remove fear from control. Fear can exist. Fear can speak. Fear cannot decide. This chapter establishes one foundation. Fear is automatic. Avoidance is chosen. Once this is understood, responsibility returns to you. And responsibility is the beginning of power. Chapter 2. Courage begins with self-confrontation. Courage does not begin outside. It begins internally. Before you confront situations, people, or challenges, you must confront yourself. Most people avoid this step. They prefer to blame circumstances, timing, or others. This avoidance keeps them comfortable but weak. Self-confrontation is uncomfortable because it removes excuses. When you confront yourself honestly, you see patterns. You see where you delay. You see where you lie to yourself. You see where you choose comfort over effort. This is painful because it damages the image you want to believe about yourself. Courage demands that you look without protection. Most people want motivation. What they actually need is honesty. Motivation fades. Honesty forces change. Self-confrontation means asking hard questions and not escaping the answers. Why do you quit early? Why do you delay what matters? Why do you repeat the same mistakes? These questions are not meant to shame you. They are meant to remove confusion. Growth cannot happen in confusion. The mind avoids clarity because clarity creates responsibility. Once you see the truth, you can no longer pretend. This is why self-confrontation feels threatening. Courage is not attacking yourself. It is refusing to protect your weakness. There is a difference between self-hatred and self-discipline. Self-hatred destroys direction. Self-discipline creates structure. Courage lives in discipline. When you confront yourself, you stop negotiating with your lower standards. You stop saying just this once. You stop making emotional deals with yourself. Most people lose because they negotiate with their weakness daily. Self-confrontation requires silence. Not external silence, but internal silence. You must reduce distraction. Distraction exists to avoid thinking. A distracted mind never grows. You must observe your behavior as if you are studying another person. Without emotion. Without defense. Without justification. What do you do when things get hard? What do you do when no one is watching? What do you do when motivation disappears? These answers define your real character. Courage means accepting these answers without running away. Once accepted, change becomes possible. Many people want external courage, standing up to others, taking big risks, making bold moves. But they cannot even stand up to their own laziness, fear, or inconsistency. External courage without internal control is unstable. The hardest confrontation is accepting that no one is coming to save you. No perfect time. No perfect support. No perfect mood. This acceptance is painful, but it is freeing. When you stop waiting for rescue, you begin acting. Courage is saying, "This is my responsibility, even if it is unfair." Self-confrontation also means accepting your limits without respecting them. You recognize where you are weak, but you do not allow weakness to rule you. Being hard on yourself means raising standards, not increasing insults. You do not say, "I am useless." You say, "This behavior is unacceptable. This separation matters." You correct actions, not identity. Courage requires structure. Without structure, honesty becomes emotional and unstable. Structure turns awareness into discipline. Set rules. Set times. Set non-negotiables. When rules exist, emotion loses control. Most people rely on feeling. Courage relies on decision. Self-confrontation is a daily act. You do not confront yourself once and change forever. You confront yourself repeatedly and adjust behavior. Avoidance hides in small things. Skipped tasks. Delayed decisions. Broken promises to yourself. Courage corrects these immediately. Small corrections prevent large collapses. By confronting yourself, you build internal authority. You begin to trust your word. When you say you will act, you act. This trust creates confidence that does not depend on others. Confidence built on honesty is stable. Courage begins here. Not in noise. Not in motivation. But in silent self-confrontation. Chapter 3. Physical action builds mental strength. The mind does not become strong through thinking. It becomes strong through action. Specifically, through physical action. This truth is often ignored because physical effort is uncomfortable. People prefer mental explanations over physical discipline. But the body is the fastest way to train the mind. When the body obeys command, the mind learns authority. Physical action removes negotiation. You either move or you don't. There is no illusion. There is no excuse hidden in thought. This is why physical discipline builds courage faster than motivation or planning. Every time you force the body to act against resistance, you are practicing courage in its simplest form. Waking up on time is courage. Training when tired is courage. Working when bored is courage. These actions look small, but they reshape identity. The body wants comfort. The mind often follows. When you train the body to move despite discomfort, the mind learns that discomfort is survivable. This lesson transfers to emotional and mental challenges. Most fear is fear of discomfort, not destruction. Physical discomfort teaches the nervous system that stress does not equal danger. Breath continues. Heart stabilizes. Control returns. Over time, this reduces panic response in non-physical situations. This is why disciplined physical routines create emotional stability. People with weak physical habits often struggle with emotional control. This is not coincidence. The body and mind are connected through behavior. Courage is not built by imagining hard moments. It is built by experiencing them repeatedly. Physical action creates proof. Proof builds belief. Belief builds confidence. When you complete hard physical tasks, you collect evidence. I can do difficult things. I do not quit immediately. I can push through resistance. These beliefs are not affirmations. They are conclusions drawn from experience. Physical discipline also removes overthinking. Overthinking is a form of avoidance. The body does not overthink. It responds. Action silences doubt. This is why courage requires movement. Sitting and thinking increases fear. Moving reduces it. You do not need extreme physical training. You need consistency and resistance. Simple actions done daily with effort. Choose actions that require discomfort. Cold exposure. Long walks. Strength training. Structured work sessions. The exact method matters less than the principle. The body must obey when the mind commands. When the body resists and you still act, you create internal alignment. Words match behavior. Identity strengthens. Many people feel weak not because they are incapable, but because they do not trust themselves. They promise action and fail to deliver. This breaks self-trust. Physical discipline repairs this. You say, I will do this, and you do it. Repeated daily. Trust returns. Courage also grows through fatigue. Fatigue reveals truth. When energy is low, excuses disappear. What you do when tired shows who is in control. Training while tired teaches the mind that conditions do not dictate action. This lesson is powerful. Life rarely offers ideal conditions. Courage prepares you to act anyway. Physical action also grounds emotion. Anxiety lives in imagination. The body lives in the present. Movement brings you back to now. This reduces emotional exaggeration. The goal is not punishment. The goal is conditioning. You are conditioning yourself to move when resistance appears. Once this pattern is established physically, it transfers. Speaking becomes easier. Decision-making becomes faster. Responsibility feels manageable. The body leads. The mind follows. Courage is not built by waiting to feel brave. It is built by moving while afraid. Physical action is the training ground. Chapter 4. Emotional pain is not a threat. Emotional pain feels dangerous, but it is not. It does not damage the body. It does not end life. Yet most people organize their entire behavior around avoiding it. This avoidance limits growth more than any external obstacle. The mind treats emotional pain as a survival threat. Rejection, failure, embarrassment, and loneliness activate the same systems as physical danger. But the response required is different. Emotional pain requires presence, not escape. Courage means staying present when emotion rises. Most people run from emotion in subtle ways. Distraction, entertainment, overthinking, blaming, and numbing are all escape methods. These methods reduce discomfort temporarily but increase long-term weakness. Emotional avoidance teaches the mind that feelings are unbearable. This belief creates fragility. Emotional pain is information. It signals conflict between who you are and who you could be. Ignoring this signal creates stagnation. Courage is not emotional control. It is emotional tolerance. You do not need to remove emotion. You need to withstand it without reacting. When emotional pain appears, the body tightens. Breathing becomes shallow. Thoughts accelerate. The instinct is to escape. Courage is slowing down instead of speeding up. Stay. Breathe. Observe. This moment is where growth happens. Every time you remain present with emotional discomfort, you expand your tolerance. The next time, the pain feels less threatening. Over time, emotions lose power. This does not make you emotionless. It makes you stable. Many people believe being strong means not feeling. This belief creates suppression. Suppression always fails. Suppressed emotion returns stronger. Courage allows emotion without surrendering control. You can feel fear and still act. You can feel shame and still speak. You can feel doubt and still move forward. Action taken during emotional pain rewires response patterns. Avoidance strengthens emotion. Exposure weakens it. This is not theory. It is neurological conditioning. The nervous system adapts to repeated exposure. What once felt overwhelming becomes manageable. Emotional courage also requires responsibility. You must accept that emotions are yours to manage. Others can trigger them, but they do not control your response. Blaming others delays growth. Courage is saying, "This emotion is uncomfortable, but it is not in control." Emotional pain often appears before meaningful action. If something matters, emotion will be involved. Trying to build a painless life builds a shallow one. Strong people are not protected from pain. They are trained to move through it. One of the hardest forms of courage is staying honest during emotional discomfort. Not lying to yourself. Not creating stories to feel better. Truth hurts before it heals. Emotional courage also means allowing consequences. Speaking honestly may create conflict. Acting decisively may create loss. Courage accepts these outcomes without regret. You do not control reactions. You control integrity. Many people live with emotional regret because they avoided short-term pain. That regret lasts longer than the pain they avoided. Emotional pain is temporary. Regret is persistent. Courage chooses temporary pain over long-term self-contempt. The goal is not to seek pain. The goal is to stop running from it. Pain faced strengthens identity. Pain avoided weakens it. This chapter establishes one rule. Emotions are not commands. They can be felt without being obeyed. Chapter 5. Being hard on yourself without breaking yourself. Being hard on yourself is often misunderstood. Many people confuse discipline with self-hate. Others avoid discipline entirely because they fear becoming cruel to themselves. Both extremes are harmful. Courage lives in the middle. Being hard on yourself means refusing to lower standards to match weakness. It does not mean insulting yourself. It does not mean constant guilt. It does not mean emotional punishment. Those behaviors damage clarity and create resistance. Discipline is not emotional. It is structural. You set standards. You follow them. When you fail, you correct behavior without drama. Most people fail because they negotiate with their lower impulses. They create exceptions. Exceptions become habits. Habits become identity. Courage ends negotiation. You do not ask, "Do I feel like it?" You ask, "Is this required?" This shift removes emotional decision-making. Being hard on yourself requires clear rules. Without rules, discipline becomes random and exhausting. Rules reduce mental load. Sleep at this time. Work during these hours. Train on these days. Clarity creates compliance. When rules exist, failure becomes visible. You either follow or you don't. There is no confusion. Correction should be immediate and calm. No anger. No shame. Just adjustment. Shame weakens action. Responsibility strengthens it. Breaking yourself happens when pressure has no purpose. When effort has no direction. When criticism has no solution. Courage demands pressure with direction. You push yourself toward something, not away from yourself. Hardness must be paired with recovery. Discipline without recovery creates burnout. Burnout destroys consistency. Rest is not weakness when it is planned. Unplanned rest is avoidance. Strong systems include rest intentionally. Another danger is comparison. Being hard on yourself does not mean measuring yourself against others. That creates insecurity and impatience. You compete with your past behavior, not with someone else's results. Progress is personal. Standards are personal. Courage also means forgiving mistakes without excusing them. You accept failure, learn, and move forward. You do not dwell. You do not repeat. Self-forgiveness without correction is weakness. Correction without forgiveness is cruelty. Balance creates strength. Being hard on yourself also means telling yourself the truth when it is uncomfortable. If effort is low, admit it. If discipline is weak, admit it. Honesty prevents self-deception. Many people break themselves by expecting perfection. Perfection is unstable. Consistency is durable. Courage builds consistency. You do not need to be extreme. You need to be reliable. Being hard on yourself means showing up even when performance is low. It means completing the task even imperfectly. Completion beats intensity. When you push yourself consistently, trust grows. You stop doubting your ability to act. This reduces internal conflict. Inner peace is built through discipline, not comfort. Courage is quiet. It does not announce itself. It does not seek validation. It simply follows through. This chapter establishes a critical rule. Be demanding with standards, calm with mistakes. Chapter 6. Acting before confidence appears. Confidence is misunderstood. Most people believe confidence is required before action. This belief keeps them stuck. Confidence does not create action. Action creates confidence. Waiting to feel confident is another form of avoidance. Confidence is a result of proof. Proof comes only from experience. Without action, there is no proof. Without proof, confidence cannot exist. This sequence cannot be reversed. Courage means acting while unsure. Uncertainty is not a weakness. It is a natural state before learning. Expecting certainty before action is unrealistic. Every new behavior begins with incompetence. This is unavoidable. Courage accepts this stage without resistance. Most people avoid action because they fear looking weak. This fear protects ego but destroys progress. Ego demands readiness. Growth demands humility. You must allow yourself to be inexperienced. You must allow mistakes. You must allow discomfort. Confidence grows through repetition, not success. Success helps, but repetition builds stability. You can fail multiple times and still become confident if you continue acting. Quitting is the only true failure. Acting before confidence also builds emotional resilience. You learn that discomfort does not stop you. Over time, this creates internal calm. Confidence built on emotional tolerance is durable. Many people mistake excitement for confidence. Excitement fades quickly. Confidence stays because it is grounded in evidence. You do not need to feel capable. You need to behave consistently. Behavior shapes belief. If you act like someone who moves forward, your mind adapts to that identity. This is why courage is physical and behavioral, not emotional. Confidence appears quietly. One day, fear still exists, but it does not dominate. That is confidence. You are not fearless. You are functional. Acting before confidence also reduces overthinking. Overthinking exists because action is delayed. Action collapses mental noise. Clarity follows movement. Small actions are enough. You do not need dramatic steps. You need repeated steps. Consistency creates familiarity. Familiarity reduces fear. Courage is trusting process over feeling. Many people ask how to become confident. The answer is simple but uncomfortable. Do the thing repeatedly without waiting to feel ready. There is no shortcut. The mind respects behavior. It ignores intention. Each time you act despite doubt, you send a message: I am someone who moves. Identity shifts slowly but permanently. This chapter reinforces one principle. Confidence follows courage, not the other way around. Chapter 7. Daily Courage and Silent Victories. Courage is not built in dramatic moments. It is built quietly, through daily decisions that no one notices. Most people wait for a big situation to prove themselves. That moment rarely comes. Life shapes you through small, repeated actions. Daily courage is choosing effort when avoidance feels easier. Silent victories matter more than visible success. Visible success is rare and temporary. Silent victories happen daily and shape identity. Getting up on time. Completing planned work. Stopping yourself from quitting early. These actions do not receive praise, but they build internal respect. Internal respect is stronger than external validation. Most people chase motivation because they do not feel proud of their behavior. Pride does not come from results alone. It comes from consistency. Daily courage creates momentum. Momentum reduces resistance. Once momentum exists, action feels lighter. This is why starting is the hardest part. Courage in daily life often looks boring. Repetition is not exciting. But repetition builds strength. You do not need heroic effort. You need reliable effort. Silent victories also train humility. You learn to work without applause. This reduces dependence on external approval. Approval seeking weakens discipline. When no one is watching, habits reveal truth. Daily courage means keeping promises to yourself. These promises should be small and realistic. Large promises increase failure risk. Completion builds trust. Trust builds confidence. Many people fail because they aim too high and break consistency. Courage adjusts expectations without lowering standards. Lower intensity. Maintain frequency. Daily courage also includes stopping harmful behaviors, saying no, limiting distractions, ending cycles that waste energy. Stopping requires as much courage as starting. Small corrections daily prevent large breakdowns. Silent victories accumulate. Over time, they reshape how you see yourself. You stop identifying as someone who struggles to act. You become someone who acts. This identity shift changes everything. You stop negotiating with fear. You expect resistance and move anyway. Daily courage removes the need for motivation. Action becomes routine. Routine is powerful because it removes emotional debate. This chapter reinforces a core truth. You become courageous by acting daily, not occasionally. Chapter 8. Courage as a permanent way of living. Courage is not an event. It is not something you turn on during difficult moments and turn off afterward. Courage is a way of living. When practiced daily, it becomes a standard rather than an effort. A courageous life is not loud. It is structured. You no longer ask whether to act. Action is assumed. Resistance is expected. Movement happens anyway. This is the highest form of courage, consistency without drama. When courage becomes permanent, fear loses its power. Fear still appears, but it no longer influences direction. It becomes background noise. Living courageously means building systems that reduce reliance on emotion. Systems create predictability. Predictability creates stability. Wake up at the same time. Work at the same hours. Train on scheduled days. These behaviors remove choice. Choice creates hesitation. Discipline removes hesitation. Courage as a lifestyle also means accepting discomfort as normal. You stop searching for ease. Ease becomes suspicious. Comfort is not evil, but dependency on comfort is weakness. You learn to function under pressure. Pressure becomes familiar. A courageous life includes self-respect. Self-respect grows from alignment between values and behavior. When you act according to standards, self-respect stabilizes. Without self-respect, motivation collapses. Courage also simplifies life. You stop overthinking decisions. You know what is required. You do it. Simplicity reduces mental noise. Living courageously means accepting long timelines. Growth is slow. Results lag behind effort. Courage allows patience without quitting. Impatience is a form of fear. A permanent courage mindset also requires adaptability. You adjust methods, not commitment. When something fails, you refine and continue. Quitting is replaced by correction. Courage is also responsibility. You stop blaming environment, people, or luck. You focus on controllables. Control creates calm. A courageous person does not demand fairness. They demand effort from themselves. This mindset creates freedom. When you stop arguing with reality, energy is conserved. Courage as a way of living also means protecting discipline. You guard routines. You limit distractions. You choose environment carefully. Environment shapes behavior more than willpower. Finally, courage leads to quiet confidence. You do not need to prove strength. You know it exists because you live it daily. This confidence is stable. It does not collapse under stress. Courage is no longer something you try to be. It is something you practice naturally. This is the end goal. Not fearlessness. Not perfection. But reliable action under pressure. Conclusion. Courage is a decision repeated daily. Courage is not a personality trait. It is not something you are born with or without. Courage is a decision repeated so many times that it becomes identity. Fear never needed to disappear for your life to change. It only needed to stop controlling your actions. Throughout this work, one truth remains constant. Courage is action against yourself. Against your comfort. Against your excuses. Against your desire to delay. You were never weak. You were trained to avoid discomfort. This can be untrained. Every time you act while afraid, you reclaim authority. Every time you stay present with discomfort, you grow capacity. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you rebuild trust. Courage is not loud. It does not announce itself. It shows up quietly in early mornings, unfinished motivation, emotional pressure, and physical resistance. Most people wait for life to force change. Courage chooses change before force arrives. Being hard on yourself was never about punishment. It was about honesty. About refusing to live below your potential. Discipline gave you structure. Action gave you proof. Repetition gave you strength. Fear did not disappear, but it no longer decided. This is what courage really is. Not the absence of fear. Not confidence. Not inspiration. Courage is moving forward while everything inside asks you to stop. And once you live this way long enough, you do not ask if you are courageous.